Apparently that means kiss my ass in something. I, in Gaelic, according to the internet. I don't know. My girlfriend's sister got me this, and I think it's hilarious. So it just gets stored right there in the camera shelf. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Real quick, just to overview what we're doing. We are editing a picture. It's going to go from this to this, and you're going to see my process. This isn't the best picture ever, but it's just really what I had on my computer and one of the pictures I wanted to edit. If you want to follow my Instagram, go ahead and follow that down below. You're going to see a lot of these car pictures posted there because that's what I'm super into, is like cars and motorcycles and tech, that kind of thing. So you'll always see that stuff on my Instagram. Also my girlfriend. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a given. All right, so the picture we're going to be working with today is this picture of this Ferrari from, it's actually from Ferrari of Austin. If you look on the side here, we got a little tag. Oh God, oh my Lord. What? Okay, well, just, yeah, there it is. I don't know why I can't zoom in a specific spot, whatever. Anyways, the picture we're gonna be going from today is this picture to this picture. And this is not really my normal style, but it's just it's just an example that I wanted to give of how you can take a picture from one direction, kind of take it to a different one. So as you can see, this one has a little bit, the clarity bumped up a lot. I don't know why it's zooming in on that. What if I do? What if I just like cancel out of the crop tool? Oh, whatever. It's so weird. But anyways, you can see it has quite a bit of grain up here. It's definitely an oranger or a warmer temperature, and I'll explain all that in a second. One of my biggest things when I'm taking pictures of cars is the background, and I absolutely hate the background, the symmetry, everything about this picture except for the car. This was at Gold Rush Rally in Austin, so I didn't really have an opportunity to position the car or do anything with the environment. This car is just where it was, and I had to deal with it. So we're going to be working with this picture because it's kind of a good example of like a sucky picture and taking it to something that could actually be postable, or like a client might actually like it. So let's start with that. So the first thing I do is I jump into Lightroom here and I mess around with the settings. So if we go back to the original picture, the reason I chose to bump this temperature up, and I kind of just bump it up to about the middle, about 7200, 7300. Maybe let's just try 7,000. The reason I do this is because the car is blue, right? So if I bump this down, the car would really start to just blend into the background, and it just doesn't look as great. I'm a big fan of contrasting the cars in the background so you can kind of distinguish what you want to look at from the background. The next thing I don't really like is how my sky is blown out in the background, and some people don't really mind the skies. I really do. I think that a sky is a really cool focal point, something to look at, but it doesn't actually distract from the main point of the picture, which is the car. So I'm going to bump down my highlights all the way just to bring some of that detail back in the sky up here. One thing I like to do, if you look in the after picture, is I like to kind of bring out a little bit of detail in the shadows here. So jumping back, we're going to bump up the shadows quite a bit. You don't want to go too much, but if you look, like if I'm in the middle, right, the grates in the middle have almost no detail. But if I bump up the shadows, I can get a little bit of detail back there, and it doesn't do too much to the background to make it annoying or stand out like I did a bad edit, basically. I'm actually going to bring the blacks down a little bit, but just slightly, not too much. We don't want to lose the detail we just brought back in the grills up front. And then one of the last things I'm going to do real quick is bump up the clarity. Some people don't like doing this. Some people like doing it. I like doing it on some car photos. I think cars are kind of a grungy subject, and clarity oftentimes you don't want to bump it up too much because it does introduce a lot of grit or grain to the picture. But I think in this case it's actually okay, and it kind of adds to the picture just because of what we're taking a picture of. If I go the opposite direction and make this like soft and sweet, like it doesn't have the same impact that the grain does. So I'm going to bump that up and leave it there for now. One thing I want to try doing is bringing down the contrast. So if you see the normal contrast is here, if I bring it down a little bit, what we're doing here is we're actually kind of introducing a little bit more grunge and grit to the picture. The more contrast something is, the more bright it seems, the more colorful, and the less contrast, obviously you get a little bit more of that grit and grunge feeling, which complements well really nice with the dirt ground and the leaves up here. One thing that's kind of fun to play around with is if you go to your color sliders here, you can actually change the color of certain hues. So I selected green. So if you look in the background there, I'm actually able to change the color of the leaves. Could be kind of cool. I could desaturate them if I want to. Again, creating more of that like grungy feel. So let's try that, you know, pretty desaturated. If you go back to the original picture, and what we're at now. I mean, you can see this is night and day difference. I created a very grungy picture and it's looking good. The next thing I want to do is bring this actually into Photoshop because this background here is bothering me quite a bit. You know, we have a little building up here. We have power lines, we have buildings in the back, you have, you know, fences and poles and all this stuff that doesn't necessarily help the picture. It just detracts from the overall feel and the overall focus point, which should be the car. So if I go ahead and open this in Photoshop, what I'm first gonna do is duplicate the background layer by pressing Command J. There's a really cool trick you can do to remove things from the background. If you wanna try to, let's say, remove these lines, and I'll grab maybe the top of this power line here. If you press Shift Delete, it brings up this content aware fill delete mode. And if I just press OK, you'll see in the top, it didn't do a very good job at deleting the top of the pole, but it deleted those wires just fine. Now if I go down and select the rest of this pole that's in the sky, Shift Delete, OK, boom, it's gone. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and grab the clone stamp tool, and this basically allows you, if you press Option and then click, you can sample an area, and then if I go and draw, it's actually going to use the sampled area to fill in whatever I draw. So as you can see, when I click, there's a target pointer and a circle pointer basically, and the circle is where I'm drawing and the crosshairs are where it's sampling from. So you know, you don't want to do this too much because you can make it look sort of fake, but I think this is fine just because we're just doing this quickly and it's a sky, which are pretty easy to you know, make look real. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sample some of these leaves over here, and I'm just gonna plop them right in and cover up that pole, and look, man, that pole is just out of existence at this point. Same thing over here. I'm just gonna start drawing in some leaves, seeing what happens. It's looking good, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna, you know, this is super rough, but you get the idea of how I would go about doing this. And as you can see, if you sample too far, you can start getting the car actually in the sample. So when you get too far over, you just want to grab another sample and continue on doing what you're doing. Just grab my lasso tool over here and just draw this guy out of existence. Hit Shift D, fill it in, and it should, man, that was a good replace. Do one more time over here. One more time. Boom. That looks amazing. So if we go back to the original picture, I mean, we just got rid of the entire existence of humanity in the background here. This looks so good, and I'm actually thoroughly impressed with how that came out. Even though I was just quickly blowing through that. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with this. If you look, the car is like the focal point of the picture, and nothing is really detracting from that. It looks great, it brings your eye to it, and the background is simple and easy, and you can see the car is what you're supposed to be looking at. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. I know car photography can be very subjective. This is just what I like to do, and in these circumstances, it was very hard to do because of the lighting, the positioning of the car. I didn't get to choose the background, anything like that. So, you know, this is worst case scenario, and I hope you got some value out of that, seeing how I would quickly edit this picture of this pretty nice looking Ferrari here. If you guys have any questions, you want me to do other videos like this, let me know. Cars are my passion, so I'm always want to do some more car videos. Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.